What is the coolest thing your character achieved single-handedly? Let us know in the comments below. I one-shotted a bear, which was supposed to be an encounter for the entire party. Now, as with most of these stories where one PC one-shotted a strong enemy, there's a lot of homebrew involved. We were using a wacky classless skill tree system, which I don't like very much, and also didn't use very well. My character started as a tanky blaster mage with a Dianoticus shape change, similar to Wild Shape, as a backup option. But then I found that the shape change still let you cast spells and use other features, so I've been focusing more on that, even though it's a waste of all the points I spent giving my character armor proficiency and most of his other abilities. Finally though, everything I'd invested into my crazy dinosaur paid off. I was already in my Dianoticus form when the combat began, so I cast Hex on the bear as a bonus action, used the Dianoticus multi-attack, which also knocked the bear prone on the first hit, and then threw in Smite for good measure. Just a whirlwind of hellfire, claws, and fangs as I rolled more dice than I've ever rolled before. My favorite one was in a Greek session. The DM had placed the Apples of Discord that make us make a wisdom save or attack our companions. I gathered a couple of them and stowed them away in my pack. Then we got back to the God's Temple where there are hundreds of cultists were blocking the way to the big bad. I snuck in there and poisoned their wine with the apples, and they all just started killing each other. I just liked it because it was a creative use of something that the DM didn't expect. I have two favorites. First, ESO Night moment. I was playing a Warforged fighter and killed in a campaign. DM said, no, you can't come back with a new character, and kicked me from the campaign. I was upset about it, then he whispered me. After everyone goes, he said, your character was underperforming because of your bad stat rolls. Now, it was true. And I realize you're frustrated by this, also true sometimes, so I kicked you as a plot twist. You need to re-roll your stats for this same character, but your alignment must be lawful evil until you get your memories back. I rolled my stats, and RNG gods blessed this plot twist. New character was great. He gave players a mission to save a noble from a siege. When they arrived, they found the noble dead, and me there clad in black plate armor. We begin to fight. Plan was to fight against the party, lose the fight, they realize it's me, try to fix me, and I would become a Warforged with some memory loss problems. But things didn't go as planned. We had one bard, one arcane trickster rogue, and one bear totem barbarian. I overpowered barbarian in strength check for grapple. I overpowered rogue in dex check for grappling him, threw him to bard, and ended up downing the bard and rogue. Also probably would cut down the barbarian as well, but barbarian crit me and took off my helmet. He saw me, and I succeeded in int, charisma, and wisdom check to remember them. Take control. This is the most cool thing I've ever done. Second one is cool because DM allowed cool idea first. I have character that I can't play with most DMs because it's a power fantasy and considered too OP for a player. This causes a passive and a restricted play for me, or breaking game, so most DMs rightfully don't allow it. I try to pick this character mostly when I want to talk, but don't want to make fights or rolls. So, this character is a strong demon that is imprisoned in a sword. It's carried by a player, my boyfriend, Warlock, whose pact is being guardian of me, carrying me around and preventing me from falling into the wrong hands. I'm working like a pact weapon. When he attacks with me, he uses charisma instead of strength. And I play when I possess a creature. Possession rules are long. Party was in a desperate fight against a mini-boss. It was a lich-type homebrew man and was summoning undead continuously. With the Warlock's last-ditch attack attempt, it hit the lich and we enter possession process. We tried many times and I couldn't maintain control. It was in the middle. Others were trying to deal with other undeads. So I take one turn and I throw myself into an endless pit. When the creature I possess dies, I return to my sword form, but in Endless Pit, I was unretrievable. I left the campaign as an OP demon and returned with a new character. Teammates cheered for me, and that was a cool moment in my opinion. I was a cleric in a party of 4 battling a lich and his undead minions. The lich was nearly destroyed, but we were teetering on the brink of a TPK. In a desperate final attack, I charged through the minions, taking a bunch of attacks of opportunity, and was reduced to just a handful of hit points. But I landed a touch attack on the Lich and did a laying on of hands. The positive healing energy did enough damage to destroy the Lich. His minions crumbled, the day was saved. Having my Hexblade Warlock 2v1 King Groll and Snarl felt pretty good. The rest of the party hunkered down in the room leading to these chambers to defend against the goblin horde that we knew was coming our way. I was able to get a couple of rounds of Eldritch Blast off, keeping Snarl in the room. Eventually, Snarl and Groll got out of the room, but unfortunately for them, I proceeded to cast Shatter to bring down parts of the castle onto them. Rogue was moving through an illusion maze where DCs to see through illusions were high. He declared that he would turn around and walk backwards through it while doing a little dance. Rolled performance because he was a show-off and got a natural 20. Invented the equivalent of the moonwalk. Bonus points as he was wearing a white and gold charro suit at the time. As a warlock, I cast Sickening Radiance and microwaved to death hundreds of small tadpole-like creatures that were slowly heading towards us. Yeah, the DM did not like me after that. He had a red slod go after me later in the session. Me and my group were fighting some cultists who attacked the floating castle we were on. A cloud giant offered us a lift. The two strongest ones were in the back. My relatively tanky sorcerer took 5 or 6 opportunity attacks, cast Thunderwave, and knocked those two casters right off their side. They did cast Featherfall, but then we dropped the bodies of their fallen comrades on them as they fell. Yeah, Featherfall that, buddy. 2nd edition AD&D, way back when. I don't recall what level exactly we were, but I know it was rather low. I played an Elven Thief Mage dual class and was the logical choice for scouting around. We were in a city that had been attacked by the big bad evil guy of the Ark using something. Some DM homebrew magical artifact that took out most of the NPC level people and turned them into zombies. Sometime later, while out scouting, my character ran across the zombie horde, just sort of idly standing around, presumably because the big bad was busy with something else and the zombies had no commands to follow. Anyway, I decided that my low-level dual-class Thief Mage versus about 10,000 zombies, it had been a big city, was a good enough match, and started taking pot shots at them with her bow. Shoot once, retreat. Shoot once, retreat, rinse, and repeat. The zombies would not be able to catch up. This went on for a bunch of rounds. My character found a nice rooftop that the zombies would just be too dumb to get on top of, and just stood there shooting fish in a barrel. Well, eventually the big bad evil guy showed up and decided he wasn't going to stand idly by while I broke all his toys. He flew up onto the roof, and my character, always having had more proverbial balls than brains for something as squishy as a 2nd edition Elven Thief Mage, drew her short sword and began dueling the big bad. Between dice rolls and the big bad clearly having been built as a puppet master for the zombies, as opposed to someone that goes toe-to-toe with enemies, my character proceeded to kick his ass and force him to flee into the cover of his zombie horde. He even received another arrow in his ass for the trouble. And as the DM later admitted, the whole arc of the campaign was one good dice roll away from me ending it very prematurely. My character was left with some nasty debuffs and ailments, but nothing our cleric couldn't deal with. Hit point wise, however, I don't recall exactly, but I'm pretty sure she didn't go much below half health from soloing the big bad evil guy and his horde of 10k zombies. Okay, so, long story, please bear with me, it gets good. It's an odd, unusual character race and a huge plot twist from what we expected. I am an undead, previously human paladin. The big bad evil guy is a lich king who took pity on me because I gave my life to save a child who would have been disintegrated by a spell. Lich King was evil due to his kingdom's circumstances requiring a hard ruler, but he did not like senseless violence. Since my paladin gave his life to save the girl, he raised him using 9th level undead, retaining his memories and soul with his vast knowledge of undeath. The Lich King then locked him into his armor using a curse so he may never remove it again. The Lich told the Paladin to come back when he is far stronger, and this is his gift. The paladin has no idea that he has turned undead. Rather, he thinks the armor is sustaining his life, and that is what's giving him his endless stamina and higher strength, but he feels slower and less nimble. His goddess, proud of her champion's righteous actions, granted him with her divine stigma on his armor, so that he may use her holy power in undeath. Now, we skip 10 years of gameplay to near the end of the campaign. Party is known for being heroic and a neutral ruling party. Average level is around 18, 7 players that are extremely experienced in combat and tactics. The Lich King turns out to not be as evil as we had thought. He had very good reasons for his actions at the time, but as he aged and his powers of undeath grew, his mind started to warp. He started to really become evil, and the thing he sought to destroy and never become: a Lich Overlord. Homebrew. Think of a Lich dialed up to 11, CR 25 because we told the DM to activate hard mode, fully prepared to die if we mess up. Good on you. Our party as a neutral group cannot overlook the growing faction threatening balance of the region. We gather our allies and forces, then siege his castle in a grueling fight. Waves and waves of CR 10, CR 15 monsters and undead. Usually a cakewalk for our legendary party, but not in the numbers that we faced. Worn down, battered, and beaten, we break through the walls, and when we do, everything goes silent. All the undead stopped moving in unison. My party members were frozen in place before my paladin hears a loud, rumbling voice echo, "Welcome back. I have been waiting for you for so many years. My heart cannot bear this fate any longer. I ask of you not forgive me, for I was too weak to rule in a proper way. But I ask you to use me, so my people may let their righteous anger go. I have done so many unspeakable things, and they cannot forgive or forget that. I know this well. My time has come. I can no longer hold back my strength as my vessel has fractured with time. So I have an offer for you, and a plea to your goddess. You, who holds the power of undeath and the heart of the righteous, please, I beg of you, take my life. I cannot bear to kill innocents, but I am too cowardly to take my own life." Suddenly, a huge fracture occurs. The sky seems to be falling down. Earth feels like it may be split in two. The pressure and presence made both the paladin and lich fall to the ground as if gravity was intensified by 100-fold. My paladin slowly loses consciousness due to the pressure. Suddenly, a very soft and yet gentle voice rings out. "I have used quite a lot of a causality to descend, but I know your heart to be good despite your actions being the opposite. Since you have spent a lot of your remaining life force to create this separate dimensional space to speak to my chosen apostle, and you wish to plead not for your life, but for the lives of millions of innocents, I, Eldarth, shall hear your words." A very tall, stunningly beautiful woman with flowing white silk robes and soft, long, dark green hair appears from the fracture. The lich, struggling to his feet, stands and looks into the goddess's eyes before saying, "I am an evil man. I know this. But your champion is not. He holds the power of undeath in one hand, and the power of your faith in the other. I am of a weak mind. If this power were to be unleashed, I am afraid of what I might become. I ask of you this, as the one who raised your champion and oversaw his growth, testing his limits and making sure he stayed the path. Let him take my place,
so this land may have a righteous ruler, and so this power may be contained in a proper vessel that can withstand it. It feeds off the depraved thoughts we humans have. As the power grows, so do the thoughts. However, your champion is still righteous despite having his body desecrated by me. Despite having the power of high-level undeath, his mind is no different than the day we first met. Eldath, goddess of peace and nature, I beg of you to help him contain this power, so it may never be unleashed upon the innocent. In my study, I have a book detailing everything he needs to know to create his own phylactery. I know I am evil, but others don't deserve to die any longer due to me.
His face contorts as he tries to hold back tears. Eldath slowly wraps her arms around him in a soft embrace. His gray, wrinkly skin slowly started to whiten. The pained expression on his face slowly started to look more human-like, its natural color returning. His body starting to fill out from its bony form. She speaks softly to him. Perhaps, in a different life, you could have been one of my chosen clerics or paladins, for your soul is not tainted. But in this life, you were dealt a difficult hand and made difficult decisions. Your actions are not worthy of forgiveness, for the dead cannot forgive. But what you ask is something I will grant for the lives of many. I am sure my chosen will understand the gravity of the situation. The Lich wonders when the last time he felt this peaceful was. Perhaps it was when he was in his mother's embrace as a child. He smiles softly and says, "You truly are the goddess of kindness. Thank you." A tear flowing down his face as his body slowly fades to nothingness. Eldath then helped her champion to contain the vast power of undeath that rivals some minor gods within the phylactery, before returning to her realm, not to cause further damage due to her divinity. Such is the beginning of the story for the one known as the Undead King. He, who is known throughout the land as the righteous king beloved by his people for his kindness. His lands prosper, and the unpleasant power lurking in the shadows is contained. For now. The DM totally 180'd us from an epic boss battle to an epic sequence of rolls. Behind the DM screen, the DM rolled a nat 20 for his plea to Eldath, hence her descent to the dimension he created. Rest of it was DM improv, knowing what my character's story is and how it should end. Honestly, masterclass deception. I left out a lot of details because it was already long. This series of events took an entire 14-hour session IRL. 14 hours of all of that? That is amazing! Good job! Hey everyone, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below what is the absolute coolest thing your character achieved single-handedly. And of course, if you want to support the channel, join our membership program. You get early access to videos, and most importantly, you can keep the lights on and the videos on flowing. We love you all. See you next time. Toodaloo.